Hi, today I'm going to show how to knit a beanie for beginners step by step. I'm going to go ahead and start with this Hedgehog Fibers yarn. It's a sock weight. It's 100 grams, 400 meters, and it's 90% merino wool, 10% nylon. And I am using this Hedgehog Fibers, and here is the colorway if you're interested. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to do a double strand. So I'm going to pull from the inside of the cake and the outside of the cake and knit a beanie. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to be using this sock weight yarn held double stranded. You can also use one strand of the sock weight yarn and one strand of the kid mohair silk lace weight yarn. You can hold one strand of each together for this pattern as well. I am going to be using a size 5 16-inch circular needle, and I'm going to be using a size 6 16-inch circular needle. I'll use the 5 to begin with. Okay, so we're going to be casting on. I'm using one strand from the outside of the ball and one strand from the center pull portion of the ball. I'm holding them both together. I'm using my size 5 16-inch circular needles. And I'm going to start with a slip knot. I'm going to go ahead and put the slip knot on the needle. Like that. And I'm going to do a long tail cast on. And you can cast on using your favorite cast on method. I'm going to go ahead and cast on 108 stitches. Okay, and that's what it's looking like. I will meet back up with you when I get 108 stitches cast on. Okay, so now I'm back and I have my 108 stitches cast on. I just want to make sure that none of my, that all my stitches are pointed down like this, so that the stitches, you can see, they're on the bottom part and then the loops are on the top part. And I want to make sure it's not twisted at all. So I'm going to go ahead and join in the round. So let me move it around like this. So my yarn is on the right hand side and I will go ahead and move it to the back. And this is how we'll go ahead and join in the round, just making sure again that all my stitches are not twisted. Okay, we're ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and I can place a stitch marker here just to note the beginning of the round. And I'm going to hold both strands, the tail and the working yarn, together just for the first few stitches, and then I'll drop the tail. So I'm going to go ahead and move my stitches up. Okay, I'm going to start with my ribbing. So I'm going to knit 2, and I'm using both the tail and the working yarn. Move the yarn to the front and purl 2. Move the yarn to the back and knit 2. Okay, so that's the first 6 stitches. I've used both yarns, and I'm using that so that I don't have to weave in the tail. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the tail. Let me figure out which one is the tail. There it is. It's right here. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the tail and then just start using the working yarn only. which this is my yarn going to my ball on the outside and the inside. So I've got my first 6 stitches. I did the knit 2, purl 2, and knit 2. Now we're at purl 2. So I brought my yarn to the front and I'm doing a purl. And this is the ribbing portion of the hat. Bring the yarn to the back and knit 2. Bring the yarn to the front, purl 2. Bring the yarn to the back, knit 2. Bring the yarn to the front, purl 2. Okay, I'm just going to continue on in this pattern of the knit 2, purl 2 to make my ribbing for my hat. I'm going to catch up with you when I get to the end of this first row. Okay, so I'm coming around to the end of the row and I've done 2 purls. So there's 2 knits right there and 2 purls because I can see the bumps right there. I'm going to bring the yarn to the back, do 2 knits, bring the yarn to the front, 2 purls, bring the yarn to the back, slip the stitch marker, and then 2 knits. Remember, these were a little bit larger because we held that little tail on there, so bring the yarn to the front, 2 purls. So don't get confused with all the strands on these, but it's just weaving in the ends. Bring the yarn to the back and then 2 knits. Bring the yarn to the front, 2 purls. Bring the yarn to the back, 2 knits. Okay, and we'll just continue on doing this ribbing, and I will catch up with you when I have a little bit more ribbing on the needles so I can show you what it's looking like. But this is what it's looking like in the meantime. We have rows of knits, rows of purls, and it will form a ribbing so that it will be nice and firm around our head. So I'll catch back up with you in a little bit. Okay, I'm back, just checking in, showing you what it's looking like so far. These are my knit ridges and then the purls, and it's just becoming ribbing. I will check back in with you when I get a little bit more on the needles so you can see what it's looking like. But I'm really happy with the colors. It's so bright and happy. I love it. Okay, so we are back, and this is what it looks like so far. It is a 2x2 rib, so 2 knits, 2 purls, 2 knits, 2 purls, and we're doing the ribbing part of the hat right now. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is continue working on this ribbing until it is the size that I would like it to be. So you can do yours shorter if you like, if you're just wanting a ribbing that is just like about this big, not getting folded over. And then we'll go ahead and we'll knit the top of the hat after that. Or we can go ahead and do like a longer ribbing where we can fold it up and double it over on your ears so that it stays warmer. So I'm going to do the latter of the two. I'm going to do a longer ribbing on this hat. I will catch back up with you when I get that ribbing done. Okay, so I'm back, and I would say that if you're not going to do the fold over ribbed brim version, this should be long enough. So let's go ahead and measure that. so it's a little over 2 inches. So I would say that just over 2 inches would be good for your ribbing section before you start the knitting section. I'm going to go ahead and move on with the ribbing section and make mine longer. And I will catch up with you when I get to the top of my ribbing section. Okay, I'm at the next step. I have completed the ribbing, and my ribbing measures about 4 inches. And I'm also going to start knitting when I hit the marker. I'm also going to start knitting on the next size up needles. So I did size 5 needles for the ribbing portion so that it would be a little tighter and snugger and the ribbing part would last longer. And it wouldn't stretch out so easily. And then I'm going to switch to 6, which is 4 millimeter. I'll knit. I'm going to start knitting each stitch, but I'm going to knit it onto the next set of needles so that I don't have to slide them off. So I'm just going to continue knitting around on every stitch. Until I have the whole hat onto the size 6 pair of needles. So okay, I'll catch back up with you when I get there at the other side. So I'm back at almost the end of the round, and I've knit all the stitches onto the new needle. And so this needle is completely free, which is the smaller needle. And instead of just taking the time to slide them all on there, which is something you could do also, you could just slide them all onto the larger needle. So then I'll just continue to knit in the round. And I'm going to meet back up with you once I feel like I have enough of the knitting rows to start the decreases on the top of the head. And so this would be like a personal preference. So if you chose to do the 2 inches of ribbing and then you would just start this knitting point at the 2 inches. After the 2 inches of ribbing, you would just start knitting in the round. But I chose to do a longer ribbed area so that I could fold it up, and it could be more of a folded brim beanie, so it would be a little warmer. So I'm going to go ahead and start knitting. And the good thing about having it on these circular needles is now at this point you knit until you feel like the hat is the size that you would like, because you'll be able to try it on. You'll be able to pull the needles out like this and put it on your head and see how it fits and say, okay, that's the point where I want to stop and start the decreases. So right now I'm just going to continue knitting, and I will meet back up with you. Okay, so I'm just checking in with you, and this is what the hat is looking like so far. I'm going to go ahead and knit a few more inches and then try it on to see how I like it. Here's where we're at with the knit rounds. I just wanted to show you, I have gone ahead and tried on the hat, and I like the way it fits. I'm going to start the decreases now. Let me go ahead and measure that for you. We do have this much left, so I could do this, I could continue on knitting and make this longer so that it's slouchy if I want, but I am going to start the decreases on it. Okay, so just so you can see where I'm at, I've got 6 inches of knitting. So I've got the 4 inches of the ribbing. And you can do that longer, or you can do the 2 inches like we spoke about. And so again, you can, you know, customize it and make it however you'd like. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start the decreases. So still working in the round, we've come back to the marker. And we're going to do a decrease round. So what we'll do is we'll knit 2 together. All the way around. And so I'm just bringing the needle underneath like that through both of those 2 stitches and then doing my knit stitch. And that's making the 2 stitches go into 1 stitch. So I'm going to continue on doing the knit 2 together all the way around. That one I picked up one of the strands of another. There we go. Just being careful not to split the yarns. Okay, so that's what it looks like. I will continue doing the knit 2 together all the way around, and then I'll check back with you when I get to the other side. Okay, so I'm coming up to the end of the round. I have 2 more knit 2 togethers. Okay, I'll slip my marker. So this is what it looks like now. A lot less stitches. I'm going to go ahead and knit each stitch in this next round. Okay, and so that's what that's looking like. I will catch up with you when I get to the other side. Okay, so I have knit each stitch all the way around, and we're going to go ahead and do another knit 2 together round. So now at this point you can switch these to double pointed needles. It will be easier to go ahead and do the decreases with those, but I am going to, just for the sake of showing you how to do it on these all the way till the end, I will not switch to double pointed needles. But if you did, you would put, like, you know, a few stitches on one needle, like some stitches on another, and maybe do the last set on this set. So it would be easier to decrease on that, but I will assume that you don't have a set of double pointed needles to switch out to. So I'll just show you how I would do it if I just had this set of circulars to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and do my knit 2 together again. Oops. And because it's getting smaller, you might need to pull the cord out like this, so that it's easier to work. So So this is the point where it gets to be so few stitches it becomes a little difficult. So I just make a loop like that with the cord so I can continue on. Almost back at the end. And maybe I'll make a loop on this side as well. So I've got a loop on both sides. Okay, so now we've made it back around. And so this is what it looks like now. I'm going to go ahead and remove this marker. I'm going to go ahead and get out a needle and leave a little bit of a tail because I'm going to be weaving that in. So here is where you want to make sure not to miss a stitch when you're taking it off, or it will drop. The knitting will. So make sure to get all those stitches on your needle. Okay, so I'll go ahead and pull this, and I'm going to go ahead, and so it looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and pull it tight and just go through all of the stitches again. Okay, and then I'm going to poke the needle through to the inside. This is what the inside of our hat looks like. I will go ahead and get a few stitches just on the back side and tie a little knot. Go through a few more. Tie another knot. So now we're just weaving in the ends. Okay. We'll do one more. Oops. Okay, that should be good. I'm going to go ahead and bring it down through a couple of stitches. Okay, so that's what the inside looks like. And there's the outside. So it looks like this. And there is your beanie. You would fold it up, and you could make this cuff however big you'd like. And you could also add a pom to it. Okay, so I have this Grocery Girls pom, and it's a size large. I got it off of their website. But you could use any pom that you'd like. And so this ribbon just threads through. Just get a needle. This is just a large-eyed needle. And you can just poke it through anywhere in the top of the hat. And the nice thing about these are you could take it off while you wash it and just put it back on. So what I'm going to do is put this on the other side. So I put this one on this side, I put this one on the other side, opposite. And then this one comes with a little, like a button. But you could use any button that you have. Okay, and then you just tie this in a bow. It sits up in the top of your hat. Just like that. And so then there's your finished hat with a pom if you'd like. So thanks for watching. Bye.